So yesterday, we had an emotional day yesterday. We all talked about, right along with you all, because we read all your comments, we talked about the Nashville school shooting. And listen, I know that a lot of you feel helpless and hopeless like we do. Well, today we're going to focus on actions and solutions that may help prevent something like this from happening again. So let's start with mental health and if red flags were missed. So investigators now say the shooter was under a doctor's care for an emotional disorder and was still able to legally purchase 7 firearms. 3 were used in the attack. Her parents told police they thought their daughter should not own weapons. In fact, they thought she sold her only gun. So Tennessee does not have any red flag laws, but would they have made a difference here? And what about other possible solutions like an assault weapons ban or increasing armed security at schools? To help us answer all of this and more, we are joined by former Congresswoman Debbie Mucarsel-Powell. She's also a senior advocate at Giffords, a gun safety advocacy group. Debbie, thank you so much for being here with us today. We all want to be a part of the solution.
All right, Debbie, let's jump right in again. Thank you for being here. Let's start with the red flag laws, which we mentioned yesterday's shooting. Tennessee does not have this red flag law. In this situation, do you think red flags were missed that could have possibly prevented this shooting?
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me on. Let me tell you my own personal experience. I ran for Congress back in 2018 here in the state of Florida, and I ran on gun violence because it's such a personal issue for me. And one of the things that happened after the Parkland shooting here in 2018 is that the state, because of the advocacy of the parents and the students of demanding action from state legislators here in the state of Florida, we were able to pass the extreme risk protection laws that actually, as of today, have prevented more than 9,000 people from using arms to harm themselves or others. Wow. So this is something that was included in the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act that was passed by President Biden last summer. It was the first piece of legislation in over 30 years that addresses gun violence. And it includes hundreds of millions of dollars, over $750 million included in that bill, for states to be able to use that funding to enact extreme risk protection orders. So we know that it works. We know that states that have it in place are using it, and it does help family members and law enforcement take away those arms temporarily so that they can prevent these type of violent incidents. We cannot allow these incidents to continue, for parents in America to be scared that they're not going to see their children after sending them to school.
I didn't even know.
It's devastating, and we really need to act.
Okay, sorry, Debbie, you were breaking up a little bit there, but I heard everything you said. I didn't know a lot of what you just said, so that was important. Debbie, before I ask this question, there's not an answer to this question, but what about mental health? If you have the answer, you're going to cure the country. We know the shooter was being treated for an emotional disorder. What needs to be done when it comes to mental health care in this country?
Yeah, and let's clarify one thing. Most people that have mental health issues are not going to do what we saw in Tennessee on Monday, get an AR-15 and go commit this murder. Let's stop blaming it on mental health. We know that many people in other countries also suffer from mental health issues. And this is just a distraction, a point that the NRA and politicians that are bought and paid for by the NRA are using. But we do need to support mental health. I mean, that's something that I worked on when I was in Congress. Absolutely, we need to provide funding and resources so schools can have more mental health counselors, so that parents can have access to mental health counselors if they see that their teens are going through pain and trauma. But this is not the only solution. The solution is making sure that we don't have easy access to weapons, that we don't give that access to people that should not be purchasing these weapons. We know from the person in Tennessee who committed this murder that she had more than 6, 7 weapons that she legally owned. Tennessee has some of the worst gun laws in the United States, and now they are one of the top 10 states that have the highest death rate of gun violence in America. So we need to do more to enact legislation that's going to prevent these incidents.
Let me ask you, Congresswoman, about exactly what you just said, gun safety measures. The president called on Congress to act on his weapons assault ban, right? But other lawmakers, including the Tennessee congressman, which represents Nashville and Tennessee, all of that, Tim Burchett, don't think Congress can help. Here's what he said. I want you to take a look about this shortly after the shooting. Take a look.
It's a horrible, horrible situation, and we're not going to fix it. I don't see any real role that we could do other than mess things up, honestly, because of the situation. It's like I said, I don't think a criminal's going to stop from guns. You know, you can print them out on the computer now, 3D printing, and there's really, I don't think you're going to stop the gun violence.
Try saying that to the families of those shot.
That's encouraging to hear that,
Yeah.
right? From a congressman.
Right, and he did it unironically. So I wanted to know, how can Congress get anything done if this is who's there?
Well, let me just say right now, the greatest moral failure of this nation is to do nothing to protect the lives of our children. Right now, the #1 cause of death for kids in America, for children in America, is gun violence.
Yeah.
And if you have legislators in Washington, D.C., if you have legislators in your state that are saying that there's nothing to be done, you need to vote them out.
Yes.
It's that simple. Americans need to wake up.
Yep.
We are still a representative democracy. We have the power of our voice, and we can't continue to watch these shootings and be affected by them for a couple of days and then move on to something else.
That's right.
We have to demand action. That representative is incompetent.
Yes.
He should not be serving in office. There's plenty that we can do, and I can give you so many examples because we did that when I was in the House. We have Ethan's Law, for example, which requires a background check when you're buying ammunition and high-capacity magazines. We need to ban the sale of high-capacity magazines, which people are using to shoot multiple people in a matter of seconds. There are a lot of things that we can do, and this does not preclude violating the Second Amendment. The courts have stood by us, including banning assault weapons. We've had states that have taken it to court, like the state of New Jersey, for example, or Colorado, and the courts have stood by the fact that states have every power to enact oversight and to put gun safety legislation to prevent mass murder in America. And that's what we need to do.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. There is a lot we can do. Thank you for joining us today. For more information on Giffords and their mission to end the gun violence epidemic, go to gifford.org. Thank you again, Debbie. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Thank you.